Michael Moran was 4 years old when the United Irishmen rose in rebellion in 1798, but these and other landmarks in the next 52 years of our history he would never see, for at the age of just 2 weeks he was blinded permanently by smallpox. But he would, through a remarkable memory and the vision inexplicable to all but the blind, be able to recall these events and comment on the daily happenings of his own native Dublin and those in the rest of the then Empire. Born in Faddle Alley, now disappeared, or Fumbally Alley in the heart of the Liberties, Michael, the blind son of poor parents, had two choices: to beg for money or to earn it. He chose the latter. He became Dublin's most famous balladeer, Zosimus. He earned his nickname from his ability to recite the story of St. Mary's conversion in Egypt by the 5th century holy man Zosimus, but he was more rightly credited with being a chronicler of politics and day-to-day events with his own compositions.
Oh, in his time he was very important, and even after his time, because Zosimus was a poet of the people. Now, he was born in 1794, so at the passing of the Act of Union, he would have been 6 years of age and probably a kid around the streets at that time, possibly begging on O'Connell Bridge with a little cardboard box. But then he was blind, you see, a couple of weeks after birth. But he became he had a great brain and a great memory, and he started to be able to recite all these poems and that. And in fact, he inspired W.B. Yeats. When Yeats wrote his book, The Last Gleeman, The Celtic Twilight, he used Zosimus as one of the people in Ireland who were responsible for bringing Ireland through the period from the Act of Union, before Catholic emancipation, and then up to the famine.
So in fact he was a speaking newspaper.
Oh, a speaking newspaper, but not only was he a speaking newspaper, he was an entertainer. Like, people in their lowest ebb of the barrel, he was able to raise them up with his wit and his song and his laughter. He was possibly one of the greatest poets of that period. You're talking about names like James Clarendon's Mangan, and going on then into the Young Ireland movement. So he was the link between, say, Tom Moore in 98 and that period, right through to the 48 to Thomas Davis and all that period.
The stomping grounds of Zosimus were Grafton Street, Burgh Quay, Carlisle Bridge, now O'Connell Bridge, and Grattan Bridge, in his day known as Essex Bridge. He lived all his life in the Liberties. Here, in the shadow of St. Patrick's Cathedral, on what is now a car park, stood his house, number 14.5 St. Patrick's Street, where he occupied the top back room. But he wasn't alone. He lived first with one woman and then another, the widow Curran, who had a daughter and who would also bear Zosimus a son. This wax model, made during his lifetime, shows how he was dressed. A pair of Francis Street brogues, corduroy trousers, long frieze coat, and a tall beaver hat. More than a ballad singer, however, he was a true celebrity, imitated but never equalled. W.B. Yeats wrote of him, "Free from the interruption of society, his mind became a perfect echoing chamber where every movement of the day and every change of public passion whispered itself into rhyme or quaint saying." He died, as he had lived, in abject poverty in his 53rd year. His deathbed was a straw pallet. He was buried in an unmarked pauper's grave in Glasnevin.
He had made a very definite statement that he didn't want a monument. In actual fact, he said, my burial place is no concern of me. Just make sure it's in the O'Connell circle. You say, that type of guy. But of course he was poor. It was like Bang Bang. Who remembers Bang Bang today unless someone talks about him? And Bang Bang is identical to Zosimus. He's that type of street character. And these were very important. Like, can you imagine Dublin after the Act of Union, when the Parliament House closed and all the lords went back, and Dublin was right down in the depths, and you had Zosimus going around talking about St. Mary of Egypt and Moses being found in the Nile, and fantastic.
Now, 142 years later, a gravestone has been erected thanks to the submarine bar in Crumlin and the Dublin City Ramblers Forum. And it's also now commemorated in song.
time has took its toll of Dubliners of bygone years who played so great a role in making this old city the great place it is today. This song is to the memory of a man who passed away. The city full of character, her hallowed streets and lanes, that gave the world her poets, writers, legends in the names of Joyce and Wilde and Gogarty, O'Casey, Swift and Shaw. The world's great stage took them to heart and held each one in awe. What of all of these great characters that played so great a part? There came a man from Black Pits whom I hold dear to my heart. Not poor old Johnny 40 coats or Bang Bang pure and kind, but Michael Moran, Zozimus, a champion of the line. Sing a song for us, old Zosimus, as always from the heart. Your name will live forever as a Dublin